Hi everyone, we are going to look at 5 problems that involve adding and subtracting fractions. So let's get into it. So the first problem deals with 2 fractions that have like denominators. So you can see it's 4 over 15 plus 8 over 15. Both denominators are 15. We also call that common denominators. So what I can do is I'm going to bring the fraction down, the 2 fractions, and since there is common denominators, I'm going to go ahead and perform the operation with the numerators. So I'm going to do 4 plus 8. Now I know 4 plus 8 is 12, and I keep the same denominator. So I'm going to keep 15 in the bottom. Now 12 over 15 can reduce. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break them down, the numbers, into prime factorization. So 12, I know, is 2 times 2 times 3, and 15 is 3 times 5. Now I can see that I have some factors that are the same in the numerator and the denominator. So you can see I have a 3 in the numerator, and I also have a 3 in the denominator. So I can cancel those because 3 divided by 3 is 1. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine what is left. So in the numerator, I have 2 times 2, which is 4. And in the denominator, I just have 5. So my answer is 4 over 5. All right, let's look at another example. Here's example number 2. Now, this one also has like denominators or common denominators. However, my first fraction is a mixed number, and I want to change this to an improper fraction. So in order to change to an improper fraction, I'm going to take the denominator, I'm going to multiply it by the whole number. 12 times 1 will give me 12, and I'm going to add it to the numerator. 12 plus 5 is going to give me 17. And you also keep the denominator the same. So I'm going to keep 12 in the denominator. All right. So if I rewrite the problem, I have 17 over 12 minus 7 over 12. Now you can see I have common denominators. I am going to go ahead and perform the operation with my numerators. 17 minus 7 will give me 10. I'm going to keep the denominator the same, which is 12. Now, just like problem number 1, I can simplify. So I'm going to break them down to their prime factorization. 10 is 2 times 5. 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. I can see a 2 in the numerator and a 2 in the denominator is canceled. Now, the other 2 in the denominator stays there because I don't have another 2 in the numerator. All right, so I'm going to bring it back together. 5 is in the numerator, it stays 5. 2 times 3 will give me 6, and therefore my answer is 5 over 6. All right, let's look at example number 3. Now I have unlike denominators. 4 over 5 plus 3 over 4. So my denominator is 5 and 4. We're going to look at least common denominator for this example. I'm going to start with 5, and I'm going to write out some multiples. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and it keeps going on, but I'm just going to stop after I do 5 or 6 of them. And then I'm going to write my next fraction, the denominators, which was 4. So I'm going to do 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. And I can see that I have in common 20. And that's the least common denominator because there's nothing less than that they have in common. So what 20 is going to do is 20 is going to become my denominator. In order to become my denominator with the first fraction, I need to ask, what can I multiply it by so that my denominator is 20? Well, if you look, my denominator is 5. I know that if I multiply by 4, I can get 20. But whatever you do in the denominator, you have to do in the numerator. So I'm going to multiply by 4 divided by 4, okay? My numerator by 4 and my denominator by 4. I'm going to multiply. For my second fraction, I have 4 in the denominator. I'm going to multiply it by 5 over 5 because that will give me 20 in the denominator. So if I multiply these out, Looking at the first fraction, 4 times 4 is 16 over 20, plus, bring down the plus, 3 times 5 will give me 15 over 20. Now, you can see that I have common denominators. That was my goal when I was looking for the least common denominator. So now I can go ahead and perform the operation with the numerators. 16 plus 15, that will give me 31. Keep my denominator the same. 31 over 20. Now, this is an improper fraction. Earlier, you saw me take a mixed number and change into an improper fraction. Now, I'm going to take an improper fraction and change to a mixed number. And how I do this is I divide. The numerator goes inside the box, denominator's outside. Ask myself, how many times does 20 go into 31? Well, it goes in once. 1 times 20 will give me 20. When I subtract, I get 11. And how I write it is how many times it went in. That's my big number, so my 1. My remainder, 11, becomes my numerator, and the denominator stays 20. So that is my answer because I can't reduce it. If I can reduce it, then I need to reduce, but I cannot reduce 11 over 20. So my full answer is 1 and 11 over 20. All right, let's look at example number 4. I'm still dealing with unlike denominators. I can see now that I have 2 fractions that are mixed numbers. So I need to change both of them to improper fractions. So 8 times 2 is 16 plus 5, that will give me 21. Keep the denominator the same. Minus second fraction, 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. 7 over 4. Now I'm going to bring it down. I can see that my denominators are 8 and 4. Now if I multiply 4 by 2, I already get a denominator of 8 and I'll have common denominators. So I don't even need to multiply the first fraction. I'm going to keep 21 over 8 the same. Okay, bring over the minus. 7 times 2 is now my numerator, which is 14. 4 times 2 is my denominator, which is 8. You can see I have common denominators. 21 minus 14, that will give me 7 over 8. Keep the denominator the same, can't reduce. That is my answer. All right, let's look at the last example. So here is very similar to example number 4. I'm going to change my mixed numbers into improper fractions. 3 times 4 is 12. Plus 2 will give me 14 over 3. Bring over the minus. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 2 will give me 10 over 8. Now, bring it down. I can see that I can't multiply 3 by a whole number to get 8. So what I'm going to have to do is multiply both fractions to get common denominators. Now, you can do the least common denominator, write out all the multiples of 3 and 8, and see what they have in common for the least common denominator. And after you do it quite a bit, you'll learn and realize, okay, I know that the denominator is 24. So I'm going to multiply my first fraction by 8 over 8, and I'm going to multiply my second fraction by 3 over 3. Okay, 8 times 14 gives me 112. 8 times 3 for the denominator is 24. Now going on to the second fraction, I bring down the minus. 10 times 3 is 30. 8 times 3 is 24. I have common denominators, so now I need to perform the operation in the numerator. 112 minus 30 gives me 82 over 24. Keep the denominator the same. Improper fraction, I need to divide. Numerator goes inside the box. 24 goes into 82 3 times. 24 times 3 is 72. When I subtract, I get 10. So I get a mixed number of 3 and 10 over 24. But I can reduce 10 over 24. I know that they are both divisible by 2. Half of 10 is 5. Half of 24 is 12. And that would be my answer. And that is it. So that is how you add and subtract fractions. Please, if you want more practice, go to www.exploremathanddemand.com. Under the Student Access tab, you will find free math videos and online quizzes. As always, don't forget to subscribe to me and click that bell for notifications. Thank you so much for watching my video. Bye.